So perhaps we just go ahead because it's a Q&A and there's some
Yes,
people here. Yes, okay.
I
Hopefully
think
someone.
we can start.
Okay, wonderful. So welcome everybody. Thank you so much, Bindaji. I always look forward to Sundays because we just get to talk with you about the things that are on our mind and have your clarifications, and that's wonderful. And I think we know everybody who's here so far. Perhaps if you have general Q&A on Advaita, or if you have questions on the Taittiriya class, but just the general announcement again to remind for the replay that we always have a gathering here Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time, and we'll be continuing a rather long set of classes on the Taittiriya again on Wednesday, and those classes have made a really beautiful transition, it seems like, in the last 2 or 3 classes. So anyone who is new, who just discovers this replay or this room, I recommend that they go listen through some of those, at least the first handful and the most recent handful. And they can also do that at Advaita Retold on YouTube. And I need to pick up again listening to the replays of the Brahma Sutra. And anyone who hasn't listened to some of the other classes there, such as Aparoksha Nubhuti or Nasadiya, I recommend it. So anyone who would like to come up, this is our opportunity to just be open and learn from each other and from Bindaji. Please feel free to raise your hand. People like Gugu should come up because we haven't heard from him in such a long time. No pressure, Gugu. Okay, please join us with your thoughts.
Namaste, Venkat.
Hari Om, Binduji, Hari Om, Artemisia.
Hari Om.
Hope I think your weekend going well. We're coming to an end today. So, Binduji, I've been contemplating this one that asadva idamagra asit. That asat, it was the Brahman. It was in the form of that avyakruta, unmanifest, causal form. It was like this before. That was understanding. Why it is so labeled as asat, right? And it was in causal form. It gives answers to a lot of things, but why label this way as asat? Asadva idamagrasit. That was the background to my question, Vidaji.
Okay. It's natural. Everybody will get confused by such a statement by Asatva idamagra asit, because Sadeva Saumya idamagra asit was what we have all learned in the Chandogya Upanishad. Sateva idamagra asit. There also, Asat word was used for giving the explanation as where there is no names and forms as Asat. The names and forms appearing as Sat, when it is absent, it is given as Asat in that Chandogya Upanishad. Now here, the similar idea is being used, but it in a slightly different way. Vyakritam, avyakritam is that manifest and unmanifest are the 2 words used it. To go there, I have to take you to a bit of etymology of the word asat. See, the word asat is na sat asat. Na is a nine tatpurusha samasa, it is called. Where none or nai, some people say none, some people say nai. Whatever it is 2 opposite of sat. Now, in Sanskrit, this aspect of 9 has got 6 senses. It is used under 6 conditions. The first one being sadrishya, likeness or resemblance, as abrahmana. One like a brahmana and wearing the sacred thread, but not a brahmana. That is where the similarity is of a brahmana, but he is not actually a brahmana. But who is that? A kshatriya or vaishya? See, in olden days, all the three, brahmana, kshatriya and vaishya, were having this sacred thread across their chest. So the abrahmana word was used to identify other than brahmana, but one with a sacred thread. So that is the first place where a similar usage you can see in the Sanskrit language, which is called sadrishya. The second place where it is used is in the form of abhava. Abhava means absence, negation, want, or similar things like that. For example, atjnana. Atjnana, the word where the atjnana a is used is as absence of knowledge. Not as the sadrishya in the first case where there is something available which is similar but not the name Brahmana. But here it is, the thing is absence. Then the third case where it is being used is Bheda, difference or distinction between two things. Apata means it is not a cloth, but it is something different from or other than a cloth. It doesn't indicate which one it is that, but it is only removing that it is not a cloth, apata. Then the fourth one is alpada, smallness or diminution as used in the diminutive particle. For example, the one it is clays, the most famous example is that anudara. Udara means waist. So a maiden lady who has a very thin waist is as good as she is described as one without a waist, because her waist measurement is so minimal that she is called as anudara. It doesn't mean that she doesn't have a stomach or waistband, this thing, the measurement of the waist. Or slender waist. The waist is so slender that it is as good as not being there. So that is what is called the alpada. The fifth one is aprasastya, means badness, unfittedness, or having a very deprecative sense. For example, akala means improper time. Improper time, not that time is absent or time is slender or very minimum or it is something else, etc. But the other examples are there. Here, akala mrityu means a death which took place in a wrong time. Means for a child, when a person died, or when a child died, or when a person dies in an accident, we call it as akala mrityu. Akala mrityu doesn't mean that the kala is not there. It is meaning that it's a wrong time or improper time. The death took place, something like that. And the sixth and the final one is that virodha, opposition, contrary to something like that. The example is given is aniti. Niti is morality or, what you call the good governance. So aniti means improper governance or immorality, etc. So you can see that the same A, the first letter A you used in all these cases. Only thing is that we add a nakara in the second one if the the beginning word of the latter portion of the thing is a vowel. For example, udara we had to use anudara. Like that, because u being a vowel, we have to use anu instead of a. Whereas kala, brahmana, all of them are consonants. So in the front of consonants, we just add only akara. So that is why atnyana, abrahmana, akala, all those things are alpada, etc. being used. So there are 6 ways in which this thing. Now, in the case of Sat and Asat, which one will be the best example for this one is Vyakrita, Avyakrita. Because Sat in the form of Vyakrita before creation was unmanifest. The manifest world was as what in the case was unmanifest. So to give the rise to that meaning was opposite, viparitam, that is, the opposite nature it is to be showing that virodha, the last one, the 6th case where it is said niti, aniti. Same way, here we have vyakrita, avyakrita, means manifest and unmanifest. To show this effect is what is being used here as Sat and Asat. Sat means that which exists as names and forms. That which did not exist as names and forms is what is Asat. So therefore it is Avyakrita. That is how the Asat word has been used. It doesn't mean that it is Shunyata, because he very categorically said that, from the Shunyata, nothing can come out. Shunyata or absent, total absence, we cannot take as absence of Sat. We are here telling it is the unmanifest of manifestation. If it had been a total absence or nihilism or Shunyata, from Shunyata, what comes out will be Shunyata only. Na sato vidyate bhavo, na bhavo vidyate sata. In the Bhagavad Gita, from the na sat, na asat, vidyate. From asat, nothing can come out. But here, it says, agre asat, asid, paschat sat abhavat, tat trishtva tadeva anupravishyat. So what happens is that, here it is very categorically saying that, before what you see as Sat was in the form of Asat, way before creation. That is how that meaning has to be understood.
Yes, Vinodji, I think this is now become more clear because there is a follow-up also that Asat iti Vyakrita Nama Rupa Vishesha Viparita Rupam Avikrutam Brahma Uchyate. I think that is clarified in the similar way by Shankaracharya also. Napuna Atyantameva Asat. That means it's not nihilism. I think correct, Vinodji. This is now falling in place. Because this is very confusing for a first timer, because that word misleading.
Yes, it can be very misleading.
Misleading, yeah. This can you go little deep on this rasa? Rasa and madhu, this used varied way. Yeah. In Madhu Brahmana, varied way. This rasa, either rasa is a result or it was always there, right? Either rasa is a result, that the juice is a result of swakarya, or it was always there. It is always there. That was a differentiation I want to sort of discuss.
Okay. Raso vai saha. means indeed that Brahman is rasam. Rasa means not juice. Actually here means is the essence or the one which gives rise to satisfaction or happiness or bliss. For example, he is saying that Madhura Amladi Vat, like the sweet and the sour, etc., are the taste. The taste by itself is not what happens when we consume it. There is a experience, and that experience gives rise to a knowledge which is affirmative in nature and satisfying in nature. For example, if I keep a syrup looking item in front of you and telling you to taste it, you may not be knowing very well exactly what will be the taste of that syrup type of a thing. It may be thick and this thing can be a sugar solution, it can be glycerin, or it can be something on, a clean oil, or anything can be that. But it will look like as if it is any viscous liquid. That inquisitiveness of you will be satisfied when you taste it, but the tasting will give rise you to a knowledge. And once the knowledge takes place, the correct information as to what that liquid is, there is a level of satisfaction in you. And that level of satisfaction is a knowledge which removes the ignorance of about the object where you had a doubt. Now, if you have now a doubt who you are or what is my nature, when that is being inquired by us, and when we know, when the Upanishad says that asatva idam agra asit tato sata jayata, from that sat has come out, tat trushtva tadeva anapravishat. And how did it? Annamaya, pranamaya, manomaya, vijnanamaya, anandamaya kosha. All those things, when we are doing that, we are seeing that these koshas are separate, and I can definitely see it separate from me. So who am I? So there the Upanishad say, one who sees in the guha, nihitam guhaya, parame vyoman, sarvan kaman sahisnuti. All the questions, there the kaman means it is not desire. All the inquisitiveness are put to rest when you know who you are in your own bosom. And that satisfaction or knowledge satisfies all your questions about life, death, and happiness, unhappiness. Everything is solved by one knowing. Yat jnatva sarvamidam vijnadam bhavati. Knowing which everything becomes known. That is the time when you have that correctness of your knowledge. And once you have that knowledge who you are, thereafter your relationship with the world, the problems which you were facing otherwise with the world, everything gets a different equation and solution. That is where you become a Sthita Prajna, and once you are becoming a Sthita Prajna, there is no further problems with life or death or any such of questions which can come in your mind. So you are in a state where nothing more is required by the individual, and there is no more what you call inquisitiveness. All questions or all enquiries are answered there. Therefore, you are in a state of bliss or happiness of having known everything. Therefore, the nature of your own Atma or Brahman is nothing but that which gives you satisfaction. Therefore, it is called Rasa. Or Rasa means the essence, knowing which you know your own essence. Once you know your essence, all questions are answered.
I think, Binduji, I think this is clear. That self-satisfaction doesn't need an external object of seeking or sensual pleasure, etc. It is available within. That is, there's no question about it. This rasa that you said its essence, the raso vaisaha, sukruta, is that a result of sukruta? Of, because it is created, akasha sambhuta. Because of the creation, this rasa is evident, or this essence is always there. That is the differentiation I'm seeking, Vinodji.
The rasa is the nature of Brahman, which is always there. Satyat Jnanam Anandam or Satchit Anandam, both being the same. The Ananda is the rasa of nature. Ananda, the other word used here is rasa, that's all. Otherwise, rasa and Ananda are identical in the particular context. So, when it is said raso vaisaha, anando vaisaha is what we have to understand that. But we think that rasa is separate, ananda is separate. No. That is what Shankaracharya's commentary very clearly mentioned it. Now it is further, he is going to explain it and make it very clear to us how it is a rasa and how it is here, ananda. That is why this thing is not complete. His commentary is not complete. But you will know that the ananda or the essence or the rasa of our nature is such that you don't need anything external to be happy. The external happiness is limited in time and space. Desha kala parichinna. So when you have something where there is neither the time nor the space can diminish your happiness, irrespective whether you are in your deep sleep or you are in your waking or you are in your dream. This can happen only when you know your own nature, because your own nature is not changing whether you experience deep sleep or waking or dream. In all the three, your essence is the same. Your experiences of the world of the objects are changing, but your nature of yourself has never undergone any change in all the three states. Therefore, that is what is called the rasa here, and not anything which is an after effect of a knowledge or anything else.
This is a good clarification, Vinodji, because that sukruta and rasa linking was misguiding a bit. So we'll stay like this and wait for the remaining classes, Vinodji. Thank you so much, Vinodji.
Yes. Sukritam has been used only for Swayam Kritam, means he becoming himself as a Nama Rupa, multiply. He or it or she or whatever it is. Brahman becoming itself, the names and forms, as Asti. And in the Asti, there is the awareness or consciousness because of which the Asti is known to us. We have got inquisitiveness about the object because we think that the object is something different from us. But when we know that Swayam Kritam, it is he, the Atman or Brahman itself is becoming the multiple names and everything. Our desire to know the things will subside because we know that it is the same Brahman or Atman which is now becoming the names and forms of the world of experiences, which includes you and me, because either you are an object and I am a subject, or I am a object, you are a subject. In either case, the subject-object is only a misnomer which we put for our transactional purpose. But otherwise, everything is object only, from the point of view of something or the other. Therefore, all objects have come from one source, so all of them cannot be different in nature, even though they may have different names and forms like ornaments out of gold. So once that Swayam Kritam is understood very clearly, that is when Sarvatma Bhava can be easily understood, because that Atma itself is the Sarvam. So Sarvatma is Sarvam Atma Eva. And that includes you, me, everything in the world also. To know this, the word Sukritam is used. Not as a good, good deed and the result of a good deed. But that also is being explained in this coming class, which I will be explaining it.
Sure, Binduji. We'll wait for the class. Thank you, Binduji.
Thank you, Venkat. Namaste, Prakash.
Pranam Binduji, namaste.
So, especially because there are some people who are not regular house members, it is an Advaita Q&A where you can bring forward any of your true concerns about Advaita. And Venkat does that pretty deeply, and using Sanskrit and so forth, but that doesn't mean everyone needs to do that. You can just come up in whatever language is comfortable for you and bring forward your general concerns. There are quite a lot of people in the audience for whom we only have English, for example. So everyone's welcome. Just raise your hand.
I'm using this room mainly because, people will find it difficult during the Upanishad classes, because which is predominantly on Sanskrit, and I read Sanskrit words, translate them, then the sentence is completed and explained, and the intended meaning is made out. This is the style in which I am doing the Upanishad classes. But I found that people may have general questions or, follow-up questions related to what has been heard, because they might have heard something different in some other lecture by somebody else or in some other room or something like that. So those doubts should not be left unanswered. For that purpose is only this Sunday Q&A is being specifically conducted, and that too purely for English. Venkat, because he is following up on the Upanishad classes, so he uses the Sanskrit terminologies from the Upanishad. But that doesn't mean that everybody has to use those words or Sanskrit words to ask a question. You can ask any question related to application of Advaita to understanding of Advaita, or anything that will help you to, clear your doubts. Anybody can come up, ask a question. Welcome, Revati.
Namaste, Binduji. I have the similar question, follow-up question of Venkatji. From the Avyakrita end, there is Ananda there, because it's the Rasamevahi Ayam Labdva Prapya Anandi Sukhi Bhavati. Then the Rasa is used for Ananda after the Vakrita. I thought like that, because the Ananda is also adjective to Rasa, I thought, because the Rasa is the being. Using that Rasa only, the creation is starting. Is that so, Binduji?
That context is coming up in the next Wednesday's class. There, the Rasam hi labdva ananti bhavati is talking about Pranamaya Sharira onwards, where the Rasa is being equated with the satisfaction what we are experiencing in our Panchakosha. Not that Rasa of Rasovai Saha. But that is why I told Venkat that, that aspects of Rasa and the satisfaction will become more clear when I take the next Wednesday and Friday classes of connecting the Panchakosha and the Rasa and to Ananda, how it is kind of interconnected. So you all read that portion which is going to come up in the coming Wednesdays or Friday class.
Yes, Binduji. Thank you, Binduji.
So Binduji, Sat put a in the chat also earlier. He wrote, "Is rasa the bliss experienced?" And listening in some of the other discussions during the week, I think part of what's happening is people are trying to just really understand what's being pointed to in the experience. Is it something that can't be experienced? Is it, I think that's what a lot of the thinking is about, to know if they even really know what's being pointed to actually. Of course, they might not know that yet, but I wonder if you could, even point to, is it even the time yet to try to ask if we really know what that is ourselves? How do we approach that when we don't know what it really is pointing to?
That is, it is too early for me to now explain that, because that is why I have not yet started the rasa part in my explanation of the Upanishad. Once that is completed, your question, what you asked now, experiential aspect of Ananda, that will also become clearer at that time. I don't want to do putting the cart before the, horses right now, for the very reason that there is a logical way in which Shankaracharya is taking us in the commentary. That is very much needed for us to understand what is the bliss we are talking about and what is the rasa we are talking about. These two aspects, are they the same or are they different? And rasa, what we know as the taste or the essence, which is an after effect of and satisfaction. E is the satisfaction and Ananda. All those things are explained by Shankaracharya in his own words. So I will ask you to hold your doubts for next 2 more classes, and the following Sunday, if it is still in a room, it is not clear, you can ask that. I'll explain it.
Yeah, I think that's very helpful for everyone to hear, so that they're not trying, like you said, to put the cart before the horse, which I think has been happening a bit, understandably. So thank you for that. So anyone, if you'd like to raise your hand and come up and discuss things. Oh, good. Sat, you came up. I'm really happy.
Namaste, Binduji.
Namaste, sir.
We are talking about the unmanifest Brahma, and we are talking of how the creation. Am I audible?
Your voice were breaking in
Hello.
between. Hello? Your voice was breaking, sir, in between. Just come to some place where your signal is good.
Yes, now I am.
Okay.
We are talking about how the creation came into being, and the Brahman is mentioned as the unmanifest or Avyakrit Brahma, from which the Vyakrit came. So this is the Sabij Brahm. Am I right?
You cannot call as Sajbij Brahma, Nirbij Brahma, or like that in this particular context here. Here, in this particular chapter, the very importance is given is that Tat Trishtva Tadeva Anupravishat. That having became the names and forms is indeed the same thing which is being experienced or which is being expressed and known as the names and forms, but in reality, they are not different from the one which remains unmanifest as its pure form, or before manifestation. Now the manifestation is an event which doesn't change the nature of Brahman because it adorns names and forms. Nama Rupa, because of the names and forms, it is not becoming non-existent or something different from existence. The nature of Brahman, which is Sat Jnanam, Sat Chit Ananda, or Satya Jnanam Anandam Brahma, that nature is very well there in the Nama Rupa. But we are not able to see that aspect in the Nama Rupa, because Nama Rupa is based on the Nama Rupa. If we look at the objects, they are all limited by time, space, and location or causation. Whereas if we look at it, the substratum on which the name and form is existing, or the reality of the name and form, when we understand or look for it, we will find that there is a, what you call, one substance which is existing as existence itself, undivided, permeating through and through, which can never be bifurcated with anything which is possible. That is why Isha Vasyamidam Jagat, that word was used in the Ishavasya Upanishad. It is exactly that is what is here. We are being asked to look at it. Tat Trishta Tadeva Anupravishyat means Brahman, having become the names and forms, did not bifurcate or divide itself into multiple objects. It remains as Brahman itself. But the names and forms are used by us for transactional purpose. While we are using it for transactional purpose, we are not seeing the reality behind what we are transacting. We are not transacting with the names and forms. The names and forms are used for transaction, but what we are transacting is actually the one and only one Brahman only. So the Jagat, the world, is nothing but Brahman in one mass or in the whole form. We put names and form by dividing it into objects, and objects are depending upon existence. Then there is that division of the objects is only due to the name and form. But if you look at through the existence, the space is the substratum existence in which everything is existing, and that space itself is existing in Brahman. Therefore, there is no way we can divide space. There is no way in which we can say that the names and forms are different.
Okay. Just a follow-up on what I asked. I joined the classes in mid, and I was listening to your starting audios. You said that Upanishad indicate Brahman or the reality in two ways. One with Tatastha Lakshana and one with Swarupa Lakshana. So can we say, with Tatastha you said that as you refer to the bank of the river with bank or with relation to something, so the world in which we live, which keeps on changing, is the purpose of this Upanishad to indicate that whatever that is being, whatever that is undergoing a change, is also Brahman itself? Meaning, not the right word to say. You said it better earlier, but is it to know that Brahman in the world of change? Am I right? That's why that Sabij Brahma question came. I thought
okay.
that the Lakshana is for Sabij Brahma.
Okay. I'll explain to you. See, in the beginning of this second chapter, it was given that Satyajnanam Anantam Brahma. That words, Satyam, Jnanam and Anantam. There are 3 words for it. Each word, if you look at it, we know what is Satyam, what is Asatyam or Anartham, which is not Satyam. So therefore, there is in the transactional or in our knowledge, in our vocabulary, we have Satyam objects, which are Asatyam objects, which are separate, which we can categorize and segregate it. Similarly, there are Chetana Vastu and Jada Vastu, which is for the word Jnanam there. Jnanam is used for the word Chaitanyam or consciousness. Okay, so conscious beings and non-conscious being like inert objects and like things like that. That also we know separately. Then Anantam means infinite. We have only idea, but we have knowledge about all finite objects which are there in the world. So these 3 words by themselves individually are giving rise to contradiction to the nature of Brahman, which is being mentioned as what is Brahman? Brihatvad Brahma, the one which can encompass everything. So what is the Satya Vastu? There are Asatya Vastu. What is Chaitanya Vastu? There is Jada Vastu. What is Anandam? And there is limited mind, we know. But these words are what you call Tadastha Lakshanam or indicative words to categorize to one Swarupa Lakshanam of Brahman, which is all the 3 should be applicable simultaneously and without one being omitted. That is, it should be simultaneously Satyam, Jnanam and Anandam. Then only that definition will befit Brahman. But if you look at Satyam alone, then Brahman will not fall into that. If you look Chaitanyam alone, it will not fall Brahman alone. The same way Anandam, we have Anandam, Akasha as Anandam, but Akasha is not Brahman. And rest of the things in the Akasha all limited. So therefore we cannot say that is also Brahman. But when we say all the 3 should be applicable, then there is only one thing where it is applicable. That is what you call the Brahman, which is before Nama Rupa. Because the moment you take Nama Rupa, it will be Satyam separate, Jnanam separate and Anandam separate, including Akasha. But what is the substratum for Akasha, where it is Satyam means Anartham, na Anartham, which doesn't have, which is all the time available, Yadna Vyapijarati, which doesn't change. We know Akasha doesn't change. But that which Akasha gets the unchanging nature is from the source from which Akasha comes. Therefore, that has to be the substratum for Akasha. Same way Chaitanya, we know what are the Chaitanya Vastu, Jada Vastu, that we cannot say that applicability in the case of Jnanam and Satyam together should be applicable to Brahman. And Anandada is to show Ananyatvam. There is no separation possible in it. That is why Ananyata. If there is Anyatvam or separation possible, then that is not possible to be called Brahman. Therefore, all the 3 applicability of Satyam, Jnanam and Anandam simultaneously is possible only and only to Brahman or Atman. Anything else, either one of the 3 will be missing. 2 may be applicable, 3rd one will be missing. That is why it is called the Tadastha Lakshana and Swarupa Lakshana. So when you say Sabija Brahman, is also the word used by certain category of explaining commentators where it is in the seed form. Sabijam means as a bijam, means as a seed. Why? Because the word Tasmat asatva idam agra asid tasmat sadajayata. The words of names and forms came from that. Now, if you take that sabijam and nirbijam means without even the seed, a state where there is not even seed, then a state with as a seed, then the third one from the seed, everything else coming out. There is no such way we can divide it. It is for using for the explanation purpose. We call it as Karana Brahman, means Sabija Brahman, or Karya Brahman, the word which is now in the names and forms. And there is Brahman before the Karana Brahman or before the Sabija Brahman. That is Nirbija Brahman. No, there is nothing like the three. There is only one and only one Brahman. That Brahman itself is called Sabija Brahman, because from where the names and forms are appearing, and we call it as Sarvam Khalidam Brahma as the names and forms. But before that, it is in the form of Avyakritam or Sabijam. What these words are all only for explanatory purpose, but there is only one and only one Brahman, which is what is there as you, me, and everything in this world. And it is the same thing when we experience, when we don't have the idea that I am there or the world is there, the space, time and myself, my ego, when that is not there, I am in my deep sleep. And even deep sleep is not experienced. It is a narration by the waker to explain that experience. But in the deep sleep, what is the experience? You cannot ask a deep sleeper or a person who is in deep sleep to explain what is the experience. He has no experience or no knowledge of his existence or consciousness or even his infinitude nature, because it is something which cannot be experienced. Because the mind is the one which can experience the Satyam and Asatyam, Jnanam and Jadam, and infinite or the finite. All those things are possible only in the mind. But in the deep sleep, you don't have even your mind to experience these things. So there is that is the word Avyavaharyam, Achintyam. These words are used for describing that state. That is why the terminologies should not be confused. Your right question is very valid and right. That can be asked, but it is used in the explanatory text. But you should understand why it is used and how it is used. Then the confusion will go.
Thank you, Binduji.
Welcome, sir.
Hello, Binduji.
Ha 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 ha.
I am Revati today. Revati actress.
Oh, I was thinking a very familiar face.
Yes.
But there is no name. There is no name.
Oh, that's a blank syllable. Yesterday we were playing Ghost on this app where we removed the DP, removed the name, and we went and hijacked some rooms, a group of us people. So we were playing around yesterday with an invisible DP. Yeah. Okay, Binduji, I have a question related to what you just explained right now. And the very last part which you were telling, Sat, it's something related to that. So I came up on the panel to ask you that. I get
Yes,
the part
please.
of deep, as per the entire explanation that you gave about the Brahman being that one, he is always that he is. I mean, it is what it is always, and in its totality. Now, deep sleep part, I can understand that, okay, we went to sleep, then there was a deep sleep, and there was a waker who was a witness to it. So when we wake up, The waker has been the witness, and so we know the whole thing. But what is death then? Because I have no memory of as such of my prior births. Then if there is so much of continuity and the waker is Sakshi all the time, and deep sleep is making sense every day because we get up, we wake up, again we are there, we are there, our being is not going away anywhere. But then what is death then? What is death?
You only answered that. Very clearly, in your own statement, you answered it. That I don't remember my previous birth. Did you say that?
Yes.
A thing which is there can be remembered. A thing which is not there, how can you remember?
Wow. Then were we never there before, except that we are now, and wherever from the time we've known that we've been, what before that, were we never there?
This summer was never there. Now you think you are summer, that is your ignorance, because of which you think you are summer. And then you are saying that my previous birth, my death and everything. When did summer come up?
After I was born. From the time I know myself.
So before that, summer was not there, no?
Not that I remember, right?
But you were there, no? But you were there, right?
Yes, I was there, yes.
But you knew you were summer after some time. But before that also you were there, no?
Yes, true. Yes, I was.
So what was you at that time?
I was existence. That's it. I was existence.
You are always existence. Can you ever remove existence from existence?
But what about the story which says, for example, let's say I came to know I am at the age of, let's say, 8 months. But of course I was there before that, right? But tell me, there is a backstory that I came into being, right? I have a mother who brought me. What about that part? What about that?
I'm asking you, you started wearing the dress today, which was not there with you before.
Okay.
You started wearing it. Does that mean that you started existing only after you started wearing this dress?
No. But I started wearing this dress, let's say, when I was 18 years old. Now that doesn't mean that I was not existing before that. I was existing for 18 years. However, what about before 18 years? Then where was I? Because I'll tell you why I'm asking this. Because at least there are some proofs, there is some story or some kind of, out there in the tangible world which tells you, okay, this in this date you were born and this in this it is. So that's why I ask you, if 18 years before, so then before that, why there is no story about before that?
Okay, I'll ask you. I'm going towards that direction before you started talking now.
Sorry.
So you are 18 years, you said the dress and all, but what was your birthday dress? You may not remember, but you may have seen some photograph or something like that. You know, that when you were born, what was your dress?
Right.
There was no dress?
No dress. Yeah.
But you think you were that one which was in the photograph? Or you were in the body which is being photographed?
I was in the body that which was being photographed, for sure.
Okay. Because you are not the body, because that body is no more there with you.
Yeah.
But you are there.
But that body only continuity became, right? If I was small and then I became...
That body, where is that body now? That body, every 7, some calculation is there, everything is being replaced by the body itself. Your skin is getting replaced, your cells are getting replaced, everything is being replaced, including your blood and your brain cells, everything. So nothing of your birthday thing is remaining with you now.
Yeah.
right?
Right.
So go backwards. Before that birthday dress which you wore as the in the photograph,
Right.
you were in the womb of your mother with some other
Right.
cell of body, a set of body. Before that, whatever there, you
Okay.
existed. Without existence, you said your existence. You came into existence. You as not as a body. Your existence remained expressed through a body. That body is also
Okay.
growing and changing. But your existence in the body is also not.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Got it. Got it. Thank you for taking me back in the journey, because I was not able to, I was stuck at that certain point. But as you took me beyond, that in that womb thing, and then when that part, there I got the breakthrough. Yeah, Binduji, got it. Now I know what it means. Thank you so much. Now what you explained, that whole thing as existence, as Brahman, that it is what it is. Yeah, now it makes sense to me completely. Because I was getting the deep sleep part, because I was coming back to life again. See, sleeping in the night, coming back to life again. But that death part I was not able to understand, but now I get it. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Sama.
Yeah.
Or thank you, Shivani. Or what should I call you?
Call me.
Without no name?
No
name?
No, Bindoji, you can call me Shivani, Samar, anything. You know me, my voice, and you know me, so that's more than enough.
Thank you. Thank you, Shivani.
Thank you, sir.
Namaste, Sriram.
Oh, namaste, sir. Namaste.
You have any questions, Sriram?
I want to ask you one question, sir. That is based on Srishti Drishti Vada. Which one is right? Yata Drishti, Tata Srishti, or Yata Drishti, Tata Srishti? What is that?
It depends upon what you can mute. There's echo coming. It depends upon what convinces you, in the sense that there is no Srishti at all at any point of time. So Drishti Srishti or Srishti Drishti, these are all for experiential aspects to explain from Yugavat Srishti, or whether there should be, to experiences. Basically, Srishti and Drishti means vision or experience. So when you experience, the world is there, or when you are not experiencing, the world is not there. That is one explanation which is, in either way, if you look at it, the experiences are depending upon your way in which you want to explain it. If you are explaining it in the form of names and forms, Nama Rupa, then there is definitely a Srishti. And then you have a Drishti. That means the world of names and forms came and you are experiencing. The example is that from deep sleep, when you are waking up, the world is there. Srishti has already happened. Then you are experiencing the world of experiences. That is what is called Srishti, and then Drishti means experiences. But if you look at from the point of view of Sat or Satchit Ananda, experiential part of it, what you are experiencing in your dream, for example, who created it? Who experienced it? The entire experience of the world of the dream and the dreamer in the dream world is instantaneously created. It is an experience, but creation is not real. There is no reality to the creation. But at the time of experiencing, you are experiencing and it looks real. But we are not ready to accept that in our waking, because the waking experience is, the world is there. Then I am waking up, I am seeing, I am looking at the time, I am seeing my surroundings, I am having transaction with the world and everything. But if you minutely stand apart from both these experiences, you are neither the waker nor the dreamer. Compare between the dream and the waking. don't you feel that both the dream and the waking can be identical? One is a
Yeah.
subtle world, the other one is a gross world, you can say that. But identical in all aspects. The moment you woke up in the waking world is there, you are the waker, you are experiencing the waking. Is it not the same way? The moment you went into the dream world is there, you are the dreamer, you are experiencing it. Both are identical. But both are not being permanent in nature, because the dream doesn't last when the waking is gone, and the waking is gone, the dream comes. And dream, waking, and deep sleep, these three things are keeping on changing to us. So what changes cannot be a permanent one, but there is something which is permanent in all the three, which is knowing these changes. So you have to be separate from all the three, which is the waker, the dreamer, and the deep sleeper. Therefore, you have to know what is that nature of that I, who is having experience as a waker and the waking world, as a dreamer and the dream world, as a deep sleeper and having no experience of the world of deep sleep. If I am taking to these three things, what is your reality? You will be able to find out your own reality if you do a deep meditation on that, Sravana, Manana, Nididhyasana. That is the time you will know that you are nothing but pure awareness or consciousness. In the consciousness, the experience of dream came up, you became a dreamer, you became a dream world experiencer. In the waking world came up and you woke up as a waker and experiencing the waking world. And when your identification as an individual is lost, you don't have an individuality, no space, no time, no mind, nothing is available. That is the time of deep sleep. At that deep sleep time, you were full consciousness, but there was nothing else to be aware of. So that consciousness cannot be experienced by the consciousness itself. Therefore, you had a feeling that your continuity when maintained. That maintaining of the continuity was due to the fact that the consciousness was there, but the individuality or the world or the mind or the whole experiential aspect was absent there. So who you are, when you look at and ask yourself, you look at it, try to find out yourself, you'll know that in all the three, you were only pure awareness or consciousness, and the phenomenon kept on changing. Waking, dream, and deep sleep. Waking, dream, and deep sleep. These keep on changing. And that, therefore, you felt there is an individuality. But the day the three stops, the individuality also stops. And people call it as death. But for you, you are still remaining as a consciousness because you were never separate. You were never be part of the waking, dream, or deep sleep. You were the witness to the three of them all the time. Therefore, that is why you were able to remember the waking, dream, and deep sleep as your experiences. So that witness never dies or never was ever born. So that is what will be your nature. And Srishti Srishti is only from the point of view of experiences.
Yes, sir. Thank you. I understood. And I have one more question. About I was reading a book called Seven Untennables recently. So one of the starting chapter, it itself it became a kind of like tough for me. Is that like the locus of avidya? Where does avidya, ashraya of avidya? Is it in the Brahman or is it in the Jiva? As per this two school of Advaitas, like one is Vachaspati and one is this Vivarana school. This one is Bhamati and Vivarana school. So they have a different opinion. So what I understood from those things is that like the Ashraya of Avidya is in the Brahman. For my understanding, I got. But even Vachaspati Mishra says that it is in Jiva. Some point it is right, sir.
Rama, the avidya has to be defined first, where to locate it somewhere else, whether it is in the Brahman or in the Jiva. Avidya, if you are taking it as atasmin tad buddhi, or non-apprehension leading to misapprehension, if you are taking that, then it is in the Jiva. But non-apprehension can never be in Brahman, because Brahman is consciousness in nature or awareness in nature. So there can never be ignorance or avidya in that. But for explaining the phenomenology of world and experiences, the term Maya is being used by certain school of philosophy. That term Maya is indescribability, nothing else. Indescribability is what is called Maya. Because having become the waker, you do not, or you cannot, both ways, know how you became waker. Same as having become a dreamer in the dream world, you can never know from the dreamer's point of view how did you get into the dreamer and the dream world. So this indescribability aspect is of the nature of consciousness or awareness. Therefore, the school where they call it as Maya, as indescribability, Anirvachaniyam, as the quality of Brahman. But that is not correct, in the sense that Brahman can never have quality. Sureshwaracharya asks the same question in the Brihadaranya Upanishad. Suprakashe kuto avidya. In the nature of awareness or consciousness, how can there be an ignorance? It is not possible, because that is the one which tasya bhasa sarvamidam vibhadi. It is that consciousness or knowledge because of which the waking and the waking experience, or the dream and the dream world of experiences, are being experienced or projected, or in the light of that knowledge or consciousness, only these things are supported and surviving. So there can never be a state of ignorance or Maya or avidya at any point of time. Therefore, in Brahman, there is never avidya nor Maya. But the schools are explaining this for the purpose of, because we are all wakers, we are all experiencing our waking world. In the waking world, we want to find an answer for how we become the waker and the waking world became real to me. For explaining that purpose, this term Maya or indescribability, Anirvachaniyatvam, as a qualification present in Brahman, but only for projection of the world of experiences, is used, but it is not really as a qualification, because Brahman is Nirguna. Therefore, there is not even Maya in it. That is how this avidya, Maya, Brahman, all equation you have to understand.
Oh, it means that like the question itself is like play of words, I guess. Can we say that like if Maya is if the avidya is anirvachaniya, then it doesn't even really exist, right? So in absolute sense, there is no avidya actually existing. So can we say that the locus of avidya, the question itself wrong?
Shankaracharya says avidya is in the one who is asking about for avidya. In the Brahma Sutra Bhashya, he says that for whom is the avidya? To the person who is asking about avidya. Because he thinks that avidya is there, that is why he is asking about avidya. Because in Brahman or in Atman, there is no avidya possibility. So, but as long as you don't know about Brahman or Atman, that state is called a state of ignorance for the time being, because As long as you do not know the rope, the appearance of the snake is valid, but the snake is never there. All the 3 times what you are experiencing is rope only. The non-apprehension of the rope is the reason why you are now saying that there is a snake. But the moment you know the rope as past, present and future. The rope was the Satyam all the 3 times. Vacharambanam Vikaro Namadeyam in the Brihadaranyaka says that names and forms are only the forms from which the mud has become. All through the mud is the mud, and the mud is the pot, mud is the lamp, mud is the doll, everything is mud only. But the names and forms came, but mud remained as the same. Same way, the rope remained the same, the snake appeared in it, the pot appeared in it, the lamp appeared in the mud, the doll appeared in the mud, the world appears in Brahman. You are Waker, me as a Waker appear in Brahman. Everything is nothing but Brahman. Sarvam Kalvidam Brahma.
Are you
Binduji,
good
I
with
want to
that
ask
answer?
one question.
Oh, hold on one moment, please, respectfully, is that we try to give people an opportunity to first finish talking to Bindo and then go in the order that they came up. So apologies for cutting you off. Were you done? Can we go to SK? Shri? Okay.
Sri Rama?
Yeah. Done. Thank you. I was
Okay.
muted. I
Thank
didn't. Okay. Yeah.
No, thank you. And again, just trying to keep things a little bit orderly. So just so people understand, even though we have another 20 minutes or so, for the moment, I turned off the hand raising just so that people who are on the panel wouldn't feel that they needed to hurry in the time remaining. And if we end up with more time, I'll open it again. But we'll go as long as we need to, that the 4 remaining people can take all the time they need. Thank you so much. SK.
Yeah, hi Binduji. Hi everybody. So Binduji, the question is about avidya. Like say, for example, a thought now arose in me to ask a question, right? Like now, what is the source of this thought? Again, one is it could be a vritti or like some samskara inside me, which is like causing this thought to arise, right? Like to ask a question. But if the source of this is avidya, which is actually ignorance, which is not a positive existence of something, uh, as it is described, right? Avidya is not necessarily something that exists, but it is like the darkness, the absence of light. Then there should not be a possibility of this thought arising, because in the ultimately, it is not really positively existing. I don't know.
Okay.
Did that question
Santosh,
make any sense, Vinod?
I'll explain to you your question. I understood that question, but you have not asked in the way right it is to be asked anyway. I'll explain it to you. All these activities are nothing but coming because of Atma present in Atma as the only one which is present. But it has got an intermediary, what is called the mind, for which the experiences of the waking and dream, etc., and the individuality of you, me, etc., are based on the mind, which is called Manobuddhi Ahankara Chitta, in the form that. So in that mind, when the light of Atma is reflected, the mind, depending upon the samskara it has got, it may know what is the reality or it may not know what is the reality. When it is not known, the mind goes into doubt, which is called samshaya. Or if it is mistaken and taken like a rope for a snake, it is called viparya, means mistaken identity. So when these type of things are happening, the mind will try to clarify that for its own sake. That is why the question arises in us to ask these questions. So that state, samshaya or viparya, or the doubt or the misunderstanding, misapprehension, both are the nature of avidya or the ignorance. They are the way in which the ignorance responds in our mind. Did it satisfy you?
So the only problem is, Vinodji, because it is not positively existing, how can that resolve this problem? Because if avidya is defined as a positive existence, I think like Sri Ramji was asking earlier as well, like, and the question is that it is not really there in Brahman, which means like it is not really there. So something that is not really there, an absence of knowledge or absence of light, or as the way it is described, is not a positive thing in existence, right? But this thought that has arisen, this question is happening now, and this thought has there. It is not permanent. It will come and go away, but it is real in that sense that it is just happening. So how is something that is not existing positively existing this way?
It is like this, SK. Avidya is called jnana bhava, absence of understanding or apprehension. This absence of apprehension is what I categorized into two things as doubt or misapprehension. The non-apprehension is what is called the avidya. That non-apprehension has got two components. It can be in the form of a doubt, because of which you didn't apprehend it at all, or you have a misapprehension as a fallout. So in either case, the non-apprehension is not a positive entity. At the same time, it is the absence of a positive entity, which is called the apprehension. The absence of a pot is felt on a, suppose there is a pot on a top of a table and somebody comes and removes it. And then when you look for the pot is not shown. Do you have an experience of the absence of the pot? You will say that I know that there is no pot. Unless it is in my experience, I cannot say there is an absence of the pot. Therefore, the absence of the pot is a positive experience for me. You will say that. But if you ask a Tarkika or a Vaisheshika or Nyayayika, he will say, because of the Pratiyogi, means the positive experience of the pot, which is now not being there, you are experiencing the absence of the pot. Not there a positive entity called the absence of what. But Nayayika and Vaisheshika says that, no, abhava is a positive entity. And that way they categorize that. Whereas Advaitin says that, no, abhava is not a positive entity. The absence is not a positive entity. Absence is of absence of a positive entity. That entity is positive. Same way, the apprehension is positive. The non-apprehension is the absence of apprehension. That can be in the form of doubt or misapprehension. These two, this is the way in which you have to categorize them and clarify yourself.
Yeah, thanks, Vinod.
Namaste, Deep. Sat Shri Akal.
Namaste, Sat Shri Akal, Binduji. So, Binduji, I was thinking about last time you said you were talking about the Taittiriya and you had, remarked, I don't know if it was in the verse or that it was remarkable, it really stuck in my head, that something to akin to that we don't need particular experiences to enjoy, right? But we enjoy all, like just the phenomena of experience itself is enough. You don't need to, like, it doesn't have to be something particular. Is enjoyed. Am I on the right track with that?
Absolutely.
Yes. So now this is where I always get a little confused about it, because now, if, like you said even earlier today, I am the witness, Brahman is the witness. This is very clear that Brahman is the witness, right? The self is the witness. But if I am here, I become an enjoyer as well, right? And so if I'm enjoying, there has to be something not distinct from me, but kind of like distinct from me, right? Because that's the whole idea. Which means if we say experience, I am stressing the fact that I'm distinct from experience. But at the same time, I'm relating to it. I'm enjoying it, right? Not a particular experience, but just experience as a phenomena. It's sort of like I'm, kind of reflecting a version of my own self, right? And I'm enjoying it, right? That's the sense I get. So I'm just,
right.
Yeah. So you're right. Yeah. Okay.
You are right. Only thing is that there should not be even an iota of need for some sort of a separation for enjoyment and experience. The reason being that what we experience when there is not even an iota of difference in our own existence, which we call it as our deep sleep, is most cherished, most desirable, and most wanted thing for a human being, when after having experienced everything in the dream and the waking, when the mind gets tired of experiencing of multitude and variations in the multi experiences, it doesn't want the multitudinous. The individual wants to shut off everything and go into a state of non-experiential place where he rejuvenates and becomes absolutely peaceful in his own nature, so that how do we go into deep sleep? How we come out of deep sleep? There is no science which has ever found out. The entire science fraternity is still unable to give an answer to that. Nor does Upanishad or anything. All they say is like when the instruments of experience, the mind and the sense organs, become tired of experiences of waking and dream, the mind shuts down itself so that the knower is released even from the mind to become peaceful within himself or happy within himself or enjoyable within himself. He becomes rejuvenated and comes back. The example they use in the Upanishad is like a bird tied to a peg. It tries to escape by flying around because of the length of the thread and everything. Having flown here and there and everything, he found that, that it cannot fly beyond a distance. It comes back and settles back at that peg and rests before it gains energy again to fly and try to fly away again. This is the example, what is the example used in the Upanishad. Same is the case, which is they say in the Upanishad that mind is the bird and the peg is the Atma here. The mind is now going around to the waking world and dream world and experiencing everything, having tired. It comes back after having abandoned itself. And the identity that it's a flying bird, it leaves that identity and rests near the peg, which is the Atma here. Same is the way in which you have to understand that that experience, what we are talking about, the enjoyment we are talking about, the bliss which we are talking about, is no way comparable to an experience or enjoyment of an object external to us. There is something called self-happiness, or the happiness within oneself. That happiness is what is in our deep sleep.
Yeah, no, I get that, Binduji, but tell me, I mean, because the way I tend to see this is that we all love deep sleep, and deep sleep is obviously deeply blissful. But the bliss of, but you know, there is a kind of unconsciousness in deep sleep. I'm saying deep sleep points to that. It points to the Atma. But to call it experience Atma, or to in this conscious state, right, seems to have this fundamental quality of bliss that even deep sleep is, because it has an active, dynamic quality to it. You know, if you are experiencing something while you have a conscious, so there is a kind of separation, although it's not really a separate. That's the idea, right? You are so intimately connected that you can't separate, but yet, you know, it has that possibility that the aspect of consciousness is operating. It's not just purely existential anymore.
No, the problem is that we are evaluating deep sleep as a waker, and the story of the waker, or the narrative of the waker of his deep sleep, is what is now you are explaining about it. But what was without the waker or narration of the waker, nobody can ever explain what was the experience of the deep sleep, because there is no second there to explain it or experience or even, tell it or narrate it. It is not an experience, it is a being rather than an experiential. Deep sleep is not an experience. Deep sleep is a being where there is no experience. That is why the difference is very important for that.
Okay, Binduji. Yes. Thank you for that.
Thank you, Deep. Rohit?
Yeah, hi Binduji.
Hi, Rohit.
Actually, I have few questions.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, hello. I have few questions.
Yes.
So one of the question is that I want to understand the concept of Atma. So I have understood a little bit, but the thing is that I am not able to understand how everything is made of Atma or Brahma, and that is the very fundamental thing from which everything is made. Okay, but still, how my body only have one Atma? Because if my body is made of Atma and everything is made of Atma itself, so if I cut my body in two halves, then these two bodies might be having two Atmas, okay? If the body is dissected in two parts. So there are multiple Atmas inside me in that case?
No. It is, Atma is like space. For example, not exactly like space. For example, if you consider space. Now, you divide one room into two rooms. Will you call that two rooms are two separate space? You will call it as two separate space, because the room was one only. Now you built a wall in between, so you have two separate rooms. Is exactly the example what you said. But the space, does it get divided into two? Transactionally, you will say you are two rooms now. But from the point of view of the one room, has the space of the one room now become two spaces, double the spaces, or same space now shared between the two rooms? You will say that it is one room which is now being shared by the two rooms. Now, you take the entire space where all cosmos stars, multiplicity, everything is being there. Assuming that to be the Atma, everything is appearing inside that space. In that you divide that any number of times. Does that space go through any such divisions or multiplication? It cannot, because there is only one and only one. Right? That is the way you have to understand. There is only one Atma. And that Atma is there in everything as existence. So anything which is existing and you are knowing it, please understand what you are knowing in that. The existence is the Atma or Brahma, which is you are also existence. You exist because you exist. You know you exist. That is the reason you are seeing the existence in everything also. It is you are seeing your own existence in that, but you cannot know your own existence. But you can only assume your existence. Same way you have to assume the existence in the object which you are experiencing.
Okay, and the volume of that Atma, if Atma is similar to an space, so that space must be infinity, right? So the Brahma is infinity.
Yes, Brahatvat Brahma. Brahma is all pervasive. Everything is inside Brahman. There is nothing outside it. That is why the name Brahma is that. The Brahma, the word Brahma in Sanskrit means the one which encompasses everything.
And Binduji, one more thing. So when it comes to consciousness and understanding consciousness, so we say that the Brahma is conscious, right? It is Sachidanand, okay. Whereas I, being a body, being a mind, I am also conscious. But the consciousness which I hold, the consciousness with which I am talking to you, this consciousness is a consciousness which is achieving the entire world with the whatever human physiology I have, okay. So I don't accept my consciousness at the consciousness of the consciousness of what we usually talk about Brahma, okay. So am I correct in saying that when we talk about achieving or understanding the consciousness of Brahma, we have to go beyond of our brain, our mind, and we have to understand something else which is out of our consciousness?
You have to listen to my Taittiriya lectures to understand that. Where the second chapter onwards, I have started on that. Brahmavit apnodi param. Satyat jnanam anandam Brahma. Like that, the explanation starts that. What you say as a consciousness of yours is what is reflected in the mind as vritti or modification of the mind. But the consciousness of Brahman or Atman, what we are talking about is indicated by the word Satchitananda or Satyajnanamanandam Brahma. That is, the consciousness and the existence are not separate. And the infinitude is indivisibility of nature, as like that what we said as the one in which everything appears. Therefore, the Atma or Brahma consciousness is not the consciousness which we experience as our mental modifications. That is called vritti in the Upanishadic language. Vritti means mental modification. That is not consciousness, because in English there is no separate way in which we can explain. So we use the word consciousness for that matter. Otherwise, the modification of the mind, where you have experiences, knowledge, all memory, everything is called the modifications of the mind. But that is only a function of the mind, but not the nature of the mind or the reality of the existence. The existence itself is consciousness, because we know something exists because we are conscious of it. And that consciousness, when we know it, it is through the mind. But that what we know as the mind is not the consciousness of the existence of the object which is there. That is why we are still not able to see the object and myself as one and the same. Because the moment I experience it, I am using my mind for experience part of it. And therefore, I have to separate it out for my experiences. But when I understand it as my own nature, I don't segregate between anything and myself as two separate things. I see only oneness of my own nature of Atma, which is existence, consciousness and bliss in as a all pervasive thing. There is everything is as names and forms inside that. That experience will come only when you do a Shravana, Manana and Nididhyasana, and when it becomes your firm conviction that you are not even the physical body, you are not even the mind, you are not even the intellect, not even the bliss which you are experiencing in your deep sleep, but beyond that, which is common to everything in this world, or everything which you can call it as everything, where the everything dissolves into one. That is what is called Brahman or Atma.
And what I believe is that whatever yantra we have got, be it mind or body, and we have some sensory organs as well, the indris. So all these yantras gave us a perspective of the world, okay, which is a Maya, okay. Whether we are listening, understanding, whatever we are doing, using our body or brain. So using these things, we can't understand the Brahm, right? So because we can't use Maya to understand the ultimate reality, right? Then Binduji, it is I'm facing difficult to understand that. Then I am living in Maya. What I am perceiving is Maya, okay, and I am holding yantra which is based on Maya. Then how I can understand the Brahma if my system itself is based on Maya and I am only receiving Maya?
It is because there are two aspects of it. You are using a mirror for dressing up, reflecting your beautification of yourself. But you can't be the reflection in the mirror. Whatever you try, you can never be the reflection in the mirror. It can be used for transaction purpose. So that you can dress up, you can change, you can shave, or you can beautify yourself, you can see how you are seeing. But when you are seeing, you are only seeing one aspect of you. Your totality you cannot experience, which you can do it only without the mirror. You can be yourself without the mirror, but you cannot see yourself without a mirror. So the question is that without Maya, there is no way to know yourself, because you are yourself even without the mirror. So you don't have to know yourself as Atma or anything. What you call yourself is Atma or Brahman. But what you think you are yourself is what you are seeing in the mirror as your mind, intellect, body, and the name and the form and everything.
Thank you, Binduji. Thank you.
Thank you, Rohit.
Yeah. Thank you, everybody, very, very much, Binduji. Really, really insightful Q&A, and thank you to everyone. Just one moment, I'm distracted.
Stoic is there. Stoic there. Stoic is there. Stoic?
Oh, is he? Okay.
Go
yeah,
ahead.
I tried to bring him back. Is Stoic up on the stage and I just can't see him?
No, he was there, but when I refreshed, I couldn't see him.
Okay, yeah, he left at a certain point and I tried to bring him back. Okay, good. I don't want to leave anybody out. So thank you everybody for being here. A number of people came up and all of your discussions helped all of us very much. For anyone who's new, please feel free to join this house so that you can see when we have rooms. That's Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday at 8:30 p.m. IST. And for those of you in the world where over the next couple weekends we go through time changes, just remember that India doesn't change time, and so we'll have to adjust ourselves. It's always at 8:30 p.m. IST. So by next Sunday, for instance, in the U.S., that will have changed. What else? Remember that if you are wanting to jump into the Taittiriya classes, there's been about 30 of them so far. And Bindaji can add his view here, but I would say if you have time to listen back, you might try perhaps the first 3 classes at the very start and the most recent 3 or 4. If you don't have time to listen to all 30, which is understandable. If you listen to the most recent and the beginning ones, that will help a lot in bringing you along. And I also want to just really thank Prakash the last month or two for being such a great support and moderator during the week. It's been absolutely necessary, and we look forward to that continuing as it fits in and it can. And I apologize, Prakash, that we didn't really have time if you had discussion you wanted to have today, but it'll happen soon enough. So thank you, everybody, for being here. And Prakash, did you want to add anything before Bindo closes? And we love your new photograph,
just
by the way.
Thank you, and a little bit of background noise here, so I just want to say thank you to Bindoji and to you and everyone who came and participated. So let's come back on Wednesday for the 31st Taittiriya. Thanks, Bindoji. Over to you.
Thank you, Atmishya. Thank you, Prakash. And thank you to all those who came up and asked questions, and to those who are there in the audience. Taittiriya will continue on Wednesday and Friday. And as Artemisha said, that time change affects only those countries where there is a daytime saving adjustment is being done. Otherwise, we will stick to Indian time, 8:30 p.m. India time, Wednesdays and Fridays for Taittiriya, as long as it is to be completed. And Sundays, the same time, 8:30 p.m. for Q&A of general in nature, specifically on Advaita basis. Thank you all. Hari Om. Good night.
Hari Om.